Good evening, folks. It is Saturday, March 11th, 2023, and I'm headed to the creek, which sounds pretty ordinary for me, but doing it in new style. I'm used to fishing out of the Coleman Crawdad, and this year, which I'm not going to do it every trip, but a lot of my solo trips that are last minute, I'll probably do this. Been wanting to do it for a while, just couldn't justify the money for it at the time, and a deal just kind of fell in my lap this year that I couldn't keep passing up anymore. So I now have a kayak. Well, it's the Kaku Voodoo, which is a paddleboard kayak hybrid, and I've had it out a couple times. Once just to give it a test spin, and the second time was in the creek, but I had zero customization whatsoever, had no accessories or anything, and it proved to be a massive fail. Not completely because I wasn't set up, but fish also didn't cooperate. So that was just a few nights ago. But had I hooked a fish, I probably would have lost it just because of how poorly set up I was. But thanks to Marietta Adventure Company in Marietta, Ohio, I got a few accessories today that's going to make life a lot easier in the yak. So I ended up getting a Yak Attack double header paddle holder, which is a game changer. Keeps it off to the side and out of the way. Plus you can mount something on top of that holder, which I got a rod holder to do that with. So now I can take a couple rods and not have to worry about kicking anything off and having a bunch of stuff in my way. So hoping today, despite the cold front we've had, the fish will be active. It's been unnaturally warm I wouldn't say spring yet, but this winter in general, we've not had that much cold weather. Actually, I think a couple days last week we got to mid 70s to 80 degrees. So it's definitely been uncharacteristically warm. So maybe some of these fish have pushed up from the lower stretches. I have seen fish in this stretch spawn in February. Whether you want to believe it or not, it happens, especially with your local resident fish that aren't coming up from the river. I think it's just like an adaptation that they've done or they've had to where they're going to spawn not with the amount of sunlight that passes through their eyes, but whenever the conditions are proper. So I mean, I've found these musky fry in the shoals in the March tournament that we have in our club, and that means they spawn in February. But anyway, hoping we can get that first musky out of a kayak tonight. I've got probably about 3 hours to fish. We're just pulling in right now. Water looks phenomenal. Never looks this good in the spring, normally because it's raining so much. We have had a lot of rain this year too, but it's managed to clear up in this short amount of time since our last rain, so we're going to get after them. I've caught one fish so far this year. I had a tournament a couple weekends ago, and unfortunately my wife was out of town, which was already planned, but our tournament got pushed from the week before that to the weekend she was going to be gone. So, and my child care failed, so I took them in the car seats and parked exactly where I'm sitting right now, rolled the windows down and talked to them while I was fishing 5 yards from the truck. And I caught one. Unfortunately, it was a 27 instead of a 30 plus, so it didn't count for the tournament. But anyway, that's the one fish I've caught, and I've raised a couple others just fishing from the bank in this stretch. That was all in about a week and a half's time. So hopefully they're not all too sore-lipped from everybody else fishing here lately, and we can find one tonight and see how I handle it in the yak and just see how the yak handles it in general. More than likely, it's not going to be a big fish tonight. The big fish are probably 3 weeks away from being up here if they're following their normal schedule. So we're probably looking at low to mid 30s fish. Might get lucky and find a resident big one, but they're few and far between up in here. Anyway, enough chatter. I'm going to get the yak out, get it launched, get after him, see what happens. Oh, fish.
Yeah! That's a big one.
Here's the rig I got set up from Marietta Adventure Company today. It's the Akatech double header. So your paddle goes in there, and then you can remove the top of the mount here, the little wing nut, and place another attachment on top of that. And I have the Omega universal rod holder for that. And then I slapped a couple tie downs back here. Now normally you'd put the Kaku Voodoo chair back here, but I made a little structural modification today. I thought, okay, so trying to fit musky gear, like baits and whatnot, on this thing is going to require too many attachments. And I just had an epiphany, because this year I also ended up getting a Lakewood box. And I'm going to put that Lakewood box back here and tie it down to these tie-down hooks here and use it as my seat. It actually sits me up a little bit higher than the chair does. The chair's awesome, but it's just kind of inconvenient when you're thinking about putting other tackle in here. So the way I can set it up with that Lakewood box is to have it sitting there. I can sit down and paddle on it, and I have my tackle storage under my butt. So all I got to do is stand up, turn around, open it up, and change baits. So we'll see how that goes today. And right now I'm just going to tie it down with a rope, but I'll probably get some bungee cords or maybe a small ratchet strap or something like that later. So anyway, we're going to get launched and see what happens. Check that seat out. Might be a little far back. We'll see what happens. There's a fish. See if we can get him to eat the little sink. Attaboy. Really? Really? Ah, wrap it. That's even better. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Get a fish up and then pull a stunt like that. Probably messing my wire up too. Yeah, that's gonna be the impossible hook set. There he is. Keep your butt down. First muskie in the yak, baby. Yeah. Now I gotta figure this situation out. I thought about this while I was fishing. Normally I have the net sticking like this over my sides of my boat to balance it. And now I do not have that. Oh. Maybe my rod will support. At least until I can get into my pliers. Oh, come on, zip up. Okay. Now, learning where we can and cannot lean is going to be fun. And getting hooked by my baits in the process. That's fun too. Quit. You dummy. Come here. Alright, first one in the Kaku Voodoo. Probably about a 31, 32 incher. Oh, that was exciting. I think that was the fish we raised, that I raised on the way down. Sitting in about the right spot for it. So, that was the only fish I've seen so far. Might be the only active fish tonight, but we'll fish the rest of the way up and see what kind of time we have left. It might go upstream, not sure yet. We'll see. I'm sure there's probably more than one in this hole, but they're just not feeling it today, with the exception of the one. think I might be able to stick with this Lakewood as my seat. I might just have to take some of my big heavy baits out when I'm hitting it with the yak, or put it up here closer to the center or something. Well, I'd say that's going to do it for the night. I got probably about another half-hour daylight left, but I'm going to wrap it up. As I was saying earlier, we have a tournament next weekend, and I could end up fishing here. So I don't want to stick too many. I don't need any pre-fishing either because I know where they're at. So we're going to wrap it up. I'm really happy with how the Voodoo turned out. Obviously, I'm going to have some more customization to go in the near future. I'm waiting on some more things to come in, but I made that run to Marietta today and picked up that Yak Attack paddle mount and the rod holder as well, and it really ended up paying off for this trip, because if I'd have been set up like I was the other night, they would not have ended pretty at all. Probably wouldn't have even seen that fish because I'd have been too busy fighting everything in the yak. So anyway, hopefully in the future we'll have some more outings on the Voodoo, maybe some new waters. That's one of the things I've been wanting to do this year, is new water, or revisit some old ones that I haven't been to in a good while. That was actually the purpose of getting the Voodoo, is to hit some spots that I know get some absolute giants coming up from the river in the spring. And there's only so many places that you can bank fish there, because you got to know somebody. So the places I can bank fish, I could launch and paddle to my heart's content to find some new holes. So hopefully in the next couple weeks we're going to experience some of that, because the time is now. So all right, well, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.